One of the most important considerations when you're applying for custody of a child is time management. And I say that in terms of there's 5 days out of the week that most people work. There's 7 days out of the week, two of which generally people rest or go on vacation or so forth. There's generally 4 months, 4 weeks in a month, and 12 months in a year, right? And so 2 of those weeks are generally spring break, 2 of those weeks are generally winter break, and then you have about 2 months in the summertime where the child is not enrolled in school. But throughout all that time, if you're a parent, more often than not, you'll be working the majority of that time, as will ostensibly the other parent. And so what it really comes down to when you're applying for custody is how much time can you sacrifice to be available for everything that that child needs. If the child has to go to the hospital, if the child has to go to the doctor, if the child has a play date with another kid after school, if the child has a music lesson, a recital, football practice, cheerleading practice, track, any sort of activity, maybe even visiting another parent or another relative, and you have to transport that kid to and from. These are all the things that you really have to consider when you are applying for custody. It's not just, oh, I want to apply for custody because if I don't have primary custody, because if I don't have primary custody, I leave myself open to the possibility of being put on child support. Being put on child support is not a bad thing if you are able to do it and you do it. The whole point of being a parent is to support a child. So sometimes, there's an old adage that time equals money. And sometimes if you cannot actually allocate the time for the child, then it would stand to reason that whatever you might be paying, raising a child is a tough deal. The other party might need help cleaning the house. The other party might need babysitting after school because they have a job. The other party might need to pay for gas. The other party might, have a electric bill that's due, and all of that costs money. So I don't think it's wise to just apply for primary custody of a child if you legitimately do not have the time or the means to take care of that child, to be with that child for whatever that child may be. If you have extended family members and those extended family members are able to pitch in every now and then that's great. But ultimately, the responsibility of your child is yours. If you rely on your sister to pick your kid up all the time and, your mother to take the kid to whatever sort of practices it needs and so on and so forth, and the other party catches wind of this, they could file for modification of an order, or they could file contempt of an order because you're never home, because you're never there. You never spend time with the child. And bear in mind that the court may actually interview that child to ask, how often do you see your daddy? And the kid will say, well, my auntie picks me up from school, and well, my GAM, she takes me to my friend's house and makes sure that I see my cousins and so on and so forth. But I don't really see my dad that often because he's always working. If you have primary custody, that's grounds for the court to possibly reverse that decision, change that order. So, like I said, make sure that your decision is a well-reasoned one, and make sure that your decision is, coming from the heart and not from your pockets, because sometimes you have to pay for the things that you can't do. But ultimately, if you're in that child's life, that child will know it, and that child will never forget you. And that's being a parent. That is the ultimate goal of being a parent, is to have, your child always know that you're in their life and that you always support them, whatever that looks like.